At 12:47 a.m., a 5-year-old girl walked into a private hotel meeting and asked Seoul's most feared mafia boss a question that could have gotten anyone else thrown out. "Are you my new daddy?"
Is
The
this
entire
your
room
giant
went
castle?
silent. But what happened
No,
next was
but you
even
can
more
look around if you
shocking.
like.
The cold, untouchable
Can I
man
see the
everyone
shiny
feared
lights?
laughed. And when the little girl's exhausted mother rushed in to apologize, he looked at her like he had just discovered something he'd been searching for his entire life. Ella Robinson had no idea who the man standing in front of her really was. She only knew he was dangerously handsome, terrifyingly calm, and staring at her like he already wanted her. She also didn't know that before sunrise, the most powerful man in Seoul would make a decision that would completely change her life. Because sometimes, the person who walks into your life by accident is the person your heart was waiting for. Welcome to my channel. Before we find out what happens next, if this story already has you hooked, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next chapter of Ella and the little girl's unexpected encounter. And make sure you turn on notifications, because trust me, you're going to want to know what happens before sunrise. But now I want to hear from you. Where are you watching from? And what do you think is really going to happen between Ella, her daughter, and Seoul's most feared mafia boss? Because something tells me this late-night meeting is only the beginning. Now let's get back to where it all started from. The hotel looked different after midnight. During the day, its marble corridors gleamed beneath chandeliers, crowded with diplomats, celebrities, and wealthy guests whose footsteps never seemed hurried. But at 12:47 a.m., the Grand Seoul Hotel had become a world of polished silence. Harsh fluorescent lights glowed above the service corridor, while golden pools of light spilled from the ballroom doors and stretched across the dark floor. Ella Robinson moved quickly through that half-lit maze, balancing a tray against one palm. Her black hotel uniform was simple, but somehow she made it elegant. Her dark curls were pinned loosely behind her head, a few soft strands framing a beautiful face, made more striking by exhaustion. Her eyes looked tired, yet warm. "Mommy!" Ella stopped. The tray nearly slipped. Lily stood several meters away, wearing her tiny pink cardigan, staring at a door marked VIP Access. Ella's heart dropped. "Lily, no." The little girl smiled. Then she disappeared through the door. "Lily!" Ella hurried after her. Inside, the atmosphere changed instantly. At the center stood Kang So-jun. He was the kind of handsome that seemed almost unfair. Tall, broad-shouldered, impeccably dressed in a black suit that fit his powerful frame perfectly. His dark hair was swept back neatly, exposing sharp features and a cold, sculpted jaw. His expression could have frozen a room, and usually it did. So-jun turned toward the small girl who had just walked into his private meeting. Lily looked up. She studied him seriously. Then she asked, "Are you my new daddy?" Silence. Absolute silence. One man lowered his glass. Another looked at the floor. Seo-jun blinked once. For perhaps the first time in years, Seoul's most feared mafia boss appeared genuinely speechless. Lily waited. "Well?" she asked. A tiny crack appeared in Seo-jun's expression. Then he laughed. It was quiet, surprised, and completely unexpected. Ella rushed inside, her cheeks burning. "Oh my God! Lily!" She grabbed her daughter gently by the hand. "I am so sorry. She looked at Seo-jun. Her apology disappeared. Up close, he was even more intimidating, and annoyingly handsome. His eyes were dark and steady, fixed directly on hers. Ella swallowed. I'm sorry," she finished. Seo-jun glanced at Lily. "She has excellent timing." Ella stared. "I wouldn't call it excellent." "She interrupted an unpleasant meeting. Then I suppose I should thank her." "You should." Ella frowned. Was he joking? Lily looked between them. "Mommy, he likes you." Ella nearly dropped her tray. "Lily," Seo-jun's mouth twitched. "Your daughter is very observant. Don't encourage her." "I wasn't." "You were smiling." "I smile sometimes. Apparently only when my child embarrasses me." His eyes warmed. "Perhaps she is unusually entertaining." Ella folded her arms. "She's 5. Exactly." Despite herself, Ella laughed. The sound seemed to catch Seo-jun off guard. For one suspended moment, Neither moved. The room around them faded. Ella became painfully aware of everything. The warmth gathering beneath her collar, her quickening pulse, the way his gaze lingered on her face. Seo-jun noticed too. He had met beautiful women before. Beauty had never interested him for long. But Ella was different. She was beautiful without seeming to know it. There was softness in her features, strength in her posture, and something honest in the way she looked at him, as though she had already decided she would not be intimidated. His gaze dropped briefly to her trembling fingers. "You're nervous." Ella immediately tucked her hands behind her back. "No, I'm not. You are. You're a mafia boss. So normal people are nervous around you." His eyebrow lifted. "Are you normal?" Ella's lips parted. Excuse me?" Lily giggled. Seo-jun almost smiled again. Ella shook her head. "You're impossible. And yet you haven't left. I have a job." "That wasn't what I meant." The words landed differently. Ella's breath caught. For a second, neither of them looked away. Then Lily tugged her sleeve. "Mommy, we're supposed to go." "Yes, we are." Ella stepped backward. But her eyes stayed on Seo-jun. He watched her carefully. Something about her movements had changed. The playful confidence was gone. She glanced toward the hallway, then toward the elevator, as though expecting someone. Seo-jun's expression hardened. "Is someone frightening you?" Ella froze. "No." The answer came too quickly. His eyes narrowed. "Ella." She looked startled that he knew her name. "You know my name?" "I know everyone who works in this hotel." That was not entirely true. He had simply asked. Ella exhaled. "You shouldn't worry about me." "I wasn't worried." She gave him a skeptical look. "Right. I was curious. That sounds worse." "It probably is." A reluctant smile touched her lips. Then she lowered her voice. "And why would I trust a mafia boss?" Seo-jun stepped closer. Not enough to frighten her. Just enough for her to feel the heat of him. His voice softened. "You don't have to." Ella's heart stumbled. He walked past her, opening the door. For a moment, their shoulders nearly brushed. Neither moved. Then Ella guided Lily into the corridor. "Good night," she murmured. Seo-jun watched her disappear. The door slowly closed. He remained still. For years, people had approached him because they wanted money, protection, power, or fear. Ella Robinson had wanted none of those things. She had challenged him, laughed at him, looked him directly in the eyes, and somehow, after only a few minutes, she had left him wanting something he could not name. Outside, Ella walked toward the elevator with Lily, pretending her heart was not racing. "Mommy." "Yes?" "You like him." Ella closed her eyes. "I absolutely do not." Lily smiled. "You smiled." Ella pressed the elevator button. So did he. The elevator doors opened. Behind them, inside the VIP room, Seo-jun's phone began ringing. He ignored it. His eyes remained fixed on the closed door. For the first time in years, business could wait. Because somewhere beyond that door was a woman he suddenly needed to see again. And he had no idea that by morning, she would be standing directly in his path once more. The next evening, rain silvered the hotel windows, turning Seoul beyond the glass into a blur of headlights and neon. Ella had just finished folding Lily's cardigan when a crash echoed through the service corridor. She froze. Then footsteps approached. Fast, a shadow crossed the frosted glass. Ella pulled Lily behind her. "Mommy? Stay close." The door burst open. A man stepped inside, reaching for Ella's arm. Before he could touch her, another hand seized his wrist. Seo-jun. He moved with terrifying calm. His jaw tightened as he twisted the man's wrist away from Ella. "You chose the wrong woman." The stranger stumbled backward. Two of Seo-jun's men appeared behind him. Ella stared after them, breathing hard. Then she turned on Seo-jun. "I had it handled." Seo-jun looked at her. "You were hiding behind a dessert cart. It was strategically positioned." "Of course. You don't have to sound so amused." "I'm not amused. You're smiling." "I smile sometimes. Apparently whenever I'm furious." His mouth curved slightly. Ella hated how handsome he looked when he did that. She folded her arms. "You can't just appear and decide you're responsible for me." "I can." "No, you can't." "I just did." Her chest tightened. "You're impossible." "So I've been told." He stepped closer, lowering his voice. Someone is looking for what your father left behind. Ella's expression changed. My father? Seo-jun nodded. Han Tae-won believes your father left evidence that could destroy him. Ella swallowed. She had spent years trying not to think about her father's final months. The unanswered questions, the strange warnings he had given her before his death. I don't have anything. I know. Then why is he threatening me? Because he doesn't know that. Ella looked away. Her hands trembled. Seo-jun noticed. He reached for her wrist, then stopped himself before touching her. The restraint somehow felt more intimate than contact. You and Lily are staying with me. Ella stared at him. Absolutely not. Temporarily. No. Ella. No. 3 days. 1. 2. She narrowed her eyes. You negotiate like a criminal. I am a criminal. That was not supposed to be charming. It wasn't, but his eyes said otherwise. By sunset, Ella and Lily were standing inside Seo-jun's residence. Floor-to-ceiling windows reflected the warm city lights, and soft golden lamps illuminated cream-colored walls, dark wood, and elegant furniture. Lily looked around. Wow. Seo-jun removed his coat. Do you like it? I like your house. You can call it home while you're here. Ella glanced at him. Something in her chest softened. He noticed. Neither mentioned it. Lily grabbed his hand. Daddy, where do I sleep? Ella nearly choked. Lily! Seo-jun looked down at the hand holding his. Then, surprisingly, he smiled. Second door on the left. Ella stared. You're encouraging her again. I didn't say anything. You answered her. She asked a question. She's calling you Daddy. I noticed. And? Seo-jun looked at Ella. And I don't hate it. Her cheeks heated. She turned away before he could see her smile. The next morning arrived wrapped in golden sunlight. Ella wandered into the kitchen wearing loose gray sweatpants and an oversized cream sweater. Her curls were messy, her face bare, and somehow she looked more beautiful than she had beneath the hotel's perfect lighting. She stopped. Seo-jun stood at the stove, wearing an apron. Ella blinked. You? He glanced over. What? You're cooking? I know how to use a kitchen. I just didn't think you knew how to use anything that didn't involve threatening people. He smirked. I contain multitudes. Ella laughed. The sound filled the kitchen. Lily sat at the island, swinging her legs. Daddy makes good eggs. Ella pointed at her. Don't start. Seo-jun placed a plate in front of Lily. Eat. Lily grinned. Ella watched him. There was something disarming about seeing this dangerous man carefully cut strawberries into pieces for her daughter. You're good with her, Ella said quietly. Seo-jun shrugged. She makes it easy. And adults? His eyes lifted to hers. Adults are complicated. Maybe you're the complicated one. Maybe. The answer was too honest. Ella looked down. For a moment, neither spoke. Later, Ella reached for a glass on the highest shelf. She stretched onto her toes. Nothing. Why are your cabinets designed for giants? Because I'm tall. That's not helpful. She reached again. A hand appeared above hers. Seo-jun stepped behind her. His chest was close to her back without quite touching. He reached over her shoulder and retrieved the glass effortlessly. Ella turned. Their faces were inches apart. The kitchen suddenly seemed too small. Her heartbeat thudded. His eyes dropped briefly to her lips before returning to hers. Neither moved. Neither breathed normally. You should stop doing that, he murmured. Ella swallowed. Doing what? Making it difficult for me to behave. Her breath caught. She forced a tiny smile. I wasn't aware I was doing anything. You know exactly what you're doing. I really don't. That might be worse. She stepped back, but her fingers brushed his. A spark of tension passed between them. Seo-jun looked at their hands, then at her. Ella's voice softened. Seo-jun. He waited. I don't know what this is. His expression became gentler. Neither do I. That scares me. Me too. The admission silenced her. He could have lied. Instead, he had given her the truth. Ella looked at him for several seconds before whispering, You're not who everyone says you are. Seo-jun smiled faintly. You should be careful. Why? Because if you keep looking at me like that, I might start believing you. Her heart raced. Before she could answer, his phone vibrated on the counter. Seo-jun glanced at the screen. The warmth vanished from his face. A message appeared. We found the file your father hid. Then another message arrived. And we know where she is. Seo-jun slowly looked at Ella. For the first time since she had entered his home, his expression held something darker than anger. Fear. Not for himself, for her. The morning arrived softly, sunlight spilling through the enormous windows of Seo-jun's kitchen and turning the marble counters gold. There was only breakfast. And Lily. She sat between Ella and Seo-jun, happily attacking a stack of pancakes, while Ella tried to drink her coffee without looking at the man across from her. Seo-jun looked unfairly handsome that morning. His dark hair was slightly disheveled, as though sleep had finally defeated his usual perfection. Lily noticed everything. Mommy likes daddy. Ella inhaled coffee. She coughed violently. Lily, you do. Eat your pancakes. That's not a no. Seo-jun's shoulders shifted with a suppressed laugh. Ella kicked him lightly under the table. Don't. I didn't say anything. Your face did. His eyes lifted to hers. My face has become very troublesome. You have no idea. Lily grinned. I knew it. Ella covered her face. I'm raising a menace. Seo-jun leaned back, watching her through amused eyes. I think she's perfect. Ella lowered her hands. The teasing vanished from his expression for one quiet second. Something warm moved through her chest. Thank you, she whispered. Their eyes held. Neither said what they were both thinking. Then Lily deliberately dropped her fork. Oh, Ella narrowed her eyes. You did that on purpose. I need another fork. There are 3 beside you. Lily looked at Seo-jun. I need daddy to get it. Seo-jun stood. Ella stared at her daughter. You're matchmaking. Lily smiled innocently. I don't know that word. You absolutely do. Seo-jun returned with the fork. Lily immediately slid from her chair. I forgot my toy upstairs. Ella sighed. You can get it after breakfast. But I forgot it. Seo-jun glanced toward Ella. Let her go. Ella caught the look in his eyes. You're helping her. Maybe. Lily disappeared. Silence settled over the kitchen. Ella looked at the doorway. She planned that. Yes. You're enjoying this. A little. Ella smiled despite herself. Then the smile faded. The quiet gave her room to breathe, and with it came memories she usually kept buried. I've been alone for a long time, she admitted. Not completely. I have Lily. She's everything. But sometimes, her voice trembled. Sometimes I wish someone would ask how I'm doing and actually wait for the answer. Seo-jun's jaw tightened. I should have asked sooner. She looked at him. You're asking now? Yes. She swallowed. Then I'm tired. His eyes softened. I know. No, you don't. I do. She studied his face. He looked away toward the windows. My parents died when I was young, he said. After that, people taught me that grief was weakness, so I became very good at pretending I didn't have any. Ella's chest tightened. The man everyone fears, especially him. Ella reached across the table. Her fingers touched his hand. He went still. She expected him to pull away. Instead, he slowly turned his palm upward and intertwined his fingers with hers. The contact was simple, yet it felt enormous. His thumb brushed her knuckle. You're shaking, he murmured. So are you. I wasn't aware. You're allowed to be. His gaze rose to hers. Something vulnerable flickered there. Don't make me regret trusting you. Ella squeezed his hand. I won't. That evening, the balcony was washed in silver moonlight. Seoul glittered below them, distant and beautiful. Ella stepped outside and found Seo-jun resting his forearms against the railing. You disappear when you're thinking, she said. You notice too much. Occupational hazard. What occupation? Surviving you. He smiled. She moved beside him. For several moments, they watched the city. You know, Ella said, you're not what I expected. Neither are you. What did you expect? Someone who would be afraid of me. She smiled. Maybe I should be. He turned toward her. Are you? She looked up. Not anymore. His expression changed. He stepped closer. Ella's heart raced. Neither moved away. Seo-jun lifted his hand, gently brushing a curl from her cheek. You make this very difficult. What? Pretending I don't want you. Her breath caught. Seo-jun. I know. His voice lowered. I know this is complicated. I don't know how to say this without ruining it. Then don't say it. He searched her eyes. Can I kiss you? Ella's lips curved. You're asking now. I learned something. What? That you don't like being told what to do. She laughed softly. No, I really don't. His fingers rested against her cheek. Then he kissed her. Slowly, tenderly. There was no rush, only warmth, hesitation, and the quiet surrender of two people who had spent too long pretending they felt nothing. Ella's hand curled into his shirt. His other hand settled gently at her waist. When they separated, their foreheads remained touching. Ella smiled breathlessly. That was a terrible idea. Probably. We should do it again. His smile finally broke through. I was hoping you'd say that. She kissed him again. Later, when they returned inside, Ella noticed a folder on the table. Her father's name was written across it. She looked at Seo-jun. You knew him? Seo-jun stopped. Yes. Her stomach tightened. How? He walked toward her, expression steady. I was there the night before he died. Ella's breath caught. You were supposed to tell me. I was. Then why didn't you? Because I was afraid you'd look at me differently. She stared at him. I am looking at you differently. Pain crossed his face. Then she stepped closer. But you're still here. He nodded. I won't lie to you again. Ella reached for his hand. Then don't. Their fingers intertwined. For once, neither of them needed to pretend. And somewhere beyond the glass, a car stopped outside the gates. Rain hammered the windows that night, turning Seoul into a watercolor of blurred headlights and neon. Inside Seo-jun's residence, the lamps cast golden pools across the living room. But nobody noticed the beauty. Ella stood beside the sofa, phone clenched in her trembling hand. Lily was gone. The words still felt impossible. Seo-jun stood across from her, his handsome face carved into frightening stillness. His fists were clenched at his sides, knuckles pale. Tell me again, he said. Ella swallowed. The babysitter turned around for 30 seconds. When she looked back, Lily had disappeared. His jaw tightened. I should have been there. You were working. I should have been there. Seo-jun. He looked at her. For 1 second, the feared Mafia boss disappeared. She saw only a terrified man trying desperately not to show it. Then his phone rang. Daniel. Seo-jun answered. Talk. Daniel's voice came through cold and uneven. Taewon has her. Ella's breath stopped. Seo-jun's eyes darkened. Where? I can give you the location. A pause. But you have to come alone. Seo-jun ended the call. Ella stepped forward. You're not going without me. You're staying here. No. Ella. You don't get to protect me by locking me in a room. His shoulders stiffened. I'm not asking. And I'm not obeying. His eyes flashed. You could get hurt. So could you. That's different. Why? Because I can handle it. Ella laughed once, but there was no humor in it. You think I can't. You think I'm the woman you met at the hotel, the one who needed saving. I think you're the woman I'm terrified of losing. Silence. His words hung between them. Ella's anger softened. Seo-jun looked away, breathing slowly. I don't know how to say this without sounding selfish, he murmured. But if something happens to you, I don't know what I'll become. Ella stepped closer. If we're doing this together, then we're doing it together. He stared at her. Finally he nodded. Stay beside me. Always. Before they left, Seo-jun took her face gently between his hands. His palms were warm. His fingers trembled despite his controlled expression. I'm bringing her home. Ella covered his wrists with her hands. Bring yourself home too. Something broke behind his eyes. He kissed her forehead. I will. The warehouse stood beneath a dying street lamp, its concrete walls swallowed by shadows. Inside, fluorescent lights flickered overhead. Taewon waited with Lily seated beside him. She looked frightened, but unharmed. Mommy! She cried. Ella moved forward. Seo-jun caught her hand. Wait! Taewon smiled. You finally chose a weakness. Seo-jun's expression remained calm. No, I chose my family. The words hit Ella harder than any threat could have. Taewon glanced at her. Your father was smarter than you know. He hid evidence that could ruin everything. Ella stepped forward. Then you're finished. Taewon laughed. You think a few files can destroy me? No, she said. The truth can. Seo-jun's men entered from the opposite side. Daniel stood among them. Seo-jun looked at him. Why? Daniel's face crumpled. I thought Taewon would spare my brother. Seo-jun stared at him for a long moment. You should have told me. I was afraid. So was I. Daniel lowered his head. Seo-jun turned away. Get Lily. The rescue happened quickly. Seo-jun moved through the warehouse with controlled precision, disarming Taewon's men, while Ella stayed close to Lily. When Taewon reached for Ella, Seo-jun stepped between them. His expression became cold, but he stopped himself before striking. Taewon stared. What happened to you? Seo-jun glanced at Ella. I found something worth protecting, without becoming someone she would hate. Minutes later, the evidence was transferred to the authorities. Taewon's operation collapsed under the weight of his own secrets. There was no prolonged battle, no final threat. Just the sharp, quiet sound of handcuffs closing. Outside, dawn began to brighten the horizon. Lily clung to Ella. I was brave. Ella kissed her hair. You were very brave. Seo-jun crouched beside them. And I'm sorry. Lily wrapped her arms around his neck. Daddy came. Seo-jun closed his eyes briefly. Yes, he whispered. Daddy came. Ella watched them, tears burning behind her eyes. When they returned home, the house was quiet. Seo-jun stepped through the doorway first. Ella saw him, alive, safe. Her heart broke open. She ran. He caught her instantly, wrapping both arms around her. She pressed her face against his chest. You came home? I told you I would. You could have. I know. Her fingers tightened around his shirt. I was so scared. So was I. He kissed her hair. I don't want a life where you're afraid to lose me. She pulled back. Then don't give me one. His eyes searched hers. I shouldn't say this, but I can't stop thinking about what you said. What? Bring yourself home too. His thumb brushed her cheek. You made home sound like a place instead of a person. Ella smiled through tears. Maybe it is both. He kissed her, slowly, warmly. The kiss carried relief, gratitude, and everything they had been too frightened to say. Then Lily appeared beside them. Are you two kissing again? Ella laughed against Seo-jun's shoulder. Seo-jun looked down at her daughter. We might. Lily nodded approvingly. Good. Ella shook her head. You're enjoying this way too much. Lily grinned. So is Daddy. Seo-jun looked at Ella. She's observant. She gets that from you. No, he murmured, pulling Ella closer. She gets the matchmaking from you. Ella laughed. For the first time, there was no fear behind the sound. Only love. But later that night, while Ella slept peacefully upstairs, Seo-jun stood alone beside the window. His phone vibrated. One message appeared. The file wasn't the only thing your father left behind. Seo-jun's expression changed. Behind him, Ella stirred in her sleep. He looked toward her. Whatever remained, he knew one thing. He would face it with her. Not instead of her. With her. The first morning without fear arrived quietly. Golden sunlight slipped through the bedroom curtains, painting warm stripes across the floor. Ella woke to the distant clatter of pans and the smell of coffee. For a few seconds, she forgot where she was. Then she smiled. Seo-jun. She found him in the kitchen wearing a dark shirt, dark trousers, and the same ridiculous apron Lily had insisted he wear. His black hair was slightly tousled, his sleeves rolled to his forearms. Even half awake, he looked unfairly handsome. Ella walked behind him and wrapped her arms around his waist. You know, for a mafia boss, you're becoming suspiciously domestic. He glanced down at her arms. For a woman who claims not to like me, you spend a lot of time holding me. Maybe I'm reconsidering. Good. He turned in her arms and kissed her. It was soft at first, then slower, warmer. Ella's fingers curled into his shirt, while his hand settled against her waist. When they separated, she smiled. You're burning the eggs. Seo-jun looked toward the stove. They're fine. They're black. They have character. She laughed. I can't believe I'm going to marry a man who can't cook. He went still. Ella froze. The word had escaped before she could catch it. Marry? Her cheeks warmed. I didn't mean, you did. I was just, you said marry. She looked away, smiling despite herself. Maybe I did. His expression softened into something so openly happy that her chest tightened. Good, he whispered. Life changed slowly after that. Sojun remained powerful. People still lowered their voices when he entered a room. Men who once feared his name continued to fear it, but his future changed. He began dismantling the parts of his organization built around violence, moving legitimate businesses into the center, and refusing work that would destroy other families. When Ella asked why, he simply said, "I want Lily to grow up knowing what I built, not what I survived." And then there was Lily. She invaded his life completely. She climbed onto his office chair while he worked, left glitter on his expensive suits, and transformed his once perfect office walls into a gallery of colorful drawings. One afternoon, Ella stood in the doorway and watched Seo-jun examine a purple crayon drawing. "Is that supposed to be me?" Lily nodded. "Yes. Why do I have blue hair?" "Because you're special." Seo-jun looked at Ella. "She has a point." Ella laughed. Later, Lily sat beside him doing homework while he patiently explained mathematics. "Daddy, what's 7 times 8? 56. Mommy says you only know scary things." Ella gasped from the sofa. "I never said that." Seo-jun looked at her. "You implied it." "I did not." "You did." Lily giggled. Their laughter filled the room. Ella watched him carefully. The feared man she had met beneath harsh hotel lights was still there, but now she saw the tenderness underneath. That evening, she found him standing by the window. "You know you don't have to become someone else for us." He turned. "I'm not becoming someone else." He crossed the room and took her hand. "I'm becoming someone I can be proud of when I'm with you." Her eyes stung. "You already make me proud." He lifted her hand and kissed her knuckles. "I didn't know what family was supposed to feel like. And now?" He looked toward Lily, who was asleep on the sofa. "Now I know." Weeks later, Seo-jun took Ella back to the hotel, where everything had begun. The same marble corridor, the same VIP room, the same golden lights glowing against polished floors. Ella looked around, smiling. "You brought me here." "I did." "Why?" "You'll see." They entered the VIP room. Nothing had changed, except him. Seo-jun turned toward her. His hands were steady, but his breathing wasn't. Ella noticed immediately. "Seo-jun?" He lowered himself onto one knee. Her eyes widened. "Oh my God." He reached into his pocket. Ella laughed through sudden tears. "You're serious?" "I've never been more serious." He opened the box. A delicate ring caught the light. "I used to think family was something people were born into," he said. "Something decided before they ever had a choice." Ella's lips trembled. "Then you came into my life." He swallowed. "You and Lily taught me that family can be chosen. That home isn't a place. It's the person who makes you want to come back." A tear slipped down Ella's cheek. Seo-jun smiled nervously. I don't have a perfect speech." "You don't need one." "I had one." She laughed. "You? I forgot half of it." "You're shaking." "Because you're staring at me." "I'm staring because you're proposing." He laughed softly. Then his expression became serious again. "Ella Robinson, will you choose me the way I choose you?" She covered her mouth. "Yes." He exhaled, like he had been holding his breath for years. "Yes? Yes. You impossible man." He slipped the ring onto her finger. Then he stood and kissed her. The kiss was tender, deep, and full of promises neither needed to speak aloud. When they returned home, the front door had barely opened before Lily came running. "Daddy!" Seo-jun caught her as she jumped into his arms. Ella stood beside them, laughing through tears. Lily wrapped her arms around his neck. "I knew you were my daddy!" Seo-jun laughed, his eyes shining. "You did? I asked you first." Ella shook her head. She really did. Seo-jun reached for Ella's hand. Their fingers intertwined. The three of them stood beneath the warm hallway light, surrounded by drawings, laughter, and the quiet evidence of a life they had built together. Not a perfect family. A chosen one. A family created through accidents, stubbornness, fear, laughter, and love. Seo-jun had once been the man everyone in Seoul was afraid of, but Ella and Lily taught him that the greatest thing a man could ever become wasn't feared. It was loved. And he finally understood why. 3 months later, the day they had dreamed about finally arrived. The wedding was held in one of Seoul's grandest wedding halls, a breathtaking palace of glass, marble, and crystal chandeliers. Hundreds of soft white flowers decorated the entrance. while delicate roses and lilies lined the aisle. Golden lights glowed from above, making the entire hall shimmer like something from a fairy tale. And then Lily appeared. She walked down the aisle as the prettiest little flower girl, wearing a beautiful ivory dress covered in delicate layers of tulle and tiny embroidered flowers. Her dark curls were styled with small white blossoms, and she carried a little basket filled with rose petals. She smiled proudly as she scattered them across the aisle, occasionally looking toward Seo-jun as though reminding everyone that she had chosen him first. At the altar stood Seo-jun, the feared Mafia boss who had once walked into rooms and made everyone fall silent, now looked completely different. He wore an impeccably tailored black tuxedo with a crisp white shirt, a black silk bow tie, and polished dress shoes. His dark hair was neatly styled, and a simple white rose boutonniere rested against his chest. But his eyes were only searching for one person, Ella. When she finally appeared, the room seemed to disappear around him. Ella wore an elegant ivory wedding gown that flowed gracefully behind her, covered in delicate floral embroidery and shimmering beadwork. Her veil framed her face softly, while her hair was swept into an elegant style decorated with tiny white flowers. She looked radiant. Even the older lady who had raised Seo-jun looked breathtaking. She wore a sophisticated champagne-colored hanbok-inspired wedding ensemble, richly embroidered with delicate golden flowers, paired with elegant pearl earrings and a graceful jeweled hairpiece. Her proud smile never left her face. As Ella reached the altar, Lily looked up at Seo-jun. "Daddy, don't cry." The entire hall laughed. Seo-jun smiled through shining eyes. "I'm not crying. You are." Ella laughed as she took his hand. The ceremony was beautiful, intimate, and filled with laughter. When they exchanged their vows, Seo-jun promised not simply to protect Ella, but to stand beside her, listen to her, and choose her every day. Then came the words they had waited for. "You may kiss the bride." Seo-jun pulled Ella gently into his arms and kissed her as applause erupted around them. Lily cheered louder than everyone, and beneath the golden lights, surrounded by family, flowers, laughter, and love, Seo-jun finally understood something he had spent his entire life searching for. He had not simply found a wife. He had found his home. And together, Ella, Lily, and Seo-jun walked into their new life, not as three people brought together by chance, but as one family chosen by love. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss my next romance stories. And I'd love to hear from you. What's your favorite part of the story? Drop it in the comments below.